Binance invests $200 million in Forbes, allegedly to boost consumer knowledge on Bitcoin. CZ, the president of Binance, says that media is an essential element to build widespread consumer understanding and education. Juan Galt, what do you think about Binance, raised by an ICO, chased out of this country and that country, had a plan to evade the laws, and now they're investing in Forbes? I'm sure that Forbes is going to give us great and critical coverage of Binance in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely makes me a little uncomfortable. I mean, I don't think we have a good track record of or a good history of tech millionaires or billionaires buying up ancient media organizations and doing well with it, right? Like look at what Jeff Bezos has done with the Huffington Post. I believe it's just, all of these things are basically, in some sense, they become kind of yellow journalism. Can CC do any better? Where does his money come from? Where did this guy come from? He like Chinese oligarchy? Is he part of the party, right? What does that mean for Forbes, right? Is Forbes going to become a crypto sort of slate or tablet type of thing, right? I don't know. It definitely makes me uncomfortable, but it also shows how desperate for money some of these news outlets are, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's real curious. Maybe they'll do some good stuff with it. Maybe they'll innovate. I mean, Forbes is somewhat of a modern media platform. They have this sort of blogging kind of angle where you can submit your own articles and stuff. Maybe they'll innovate. I'm curious, but I'm skeptical. And yeah, I wouldn't expect the most aggressive journalism from Forbes, as far as Binance goes, that's for sure.
It reminds me of a lot of when Binance bought Coin Market Cap, and everyone said, "Oh, it's obvious they're only going to report on coins that are on Binance." And the same thing now for Forbes. Maybe they're just going to report on coins that are on Binance. Ben Ark, your thoughts on Binance investing into Forbes?
I actually tweeted this out, and I just wanted to tag Binance and Forbes and just say, are we finally going to get microtransactions for articles? Just pay as you go. I want to read an article on Forbes. I want to read an article on the Financial Times, and I'll pay 10 cents. I'll pay 20 cents. And the publication press, I mean, the online press, they've been hammered by the internet. Journalists have been hammered by the internet, and this is a way which they could pull in revenue. And Yours was one of the first things by Alex Bosworth, yours.com, yours.org, was one of the first examples of how you could use Bitcoin over the Lightning Network. You could just like read a little section of an article, pay an invoice, and then read the rest of the article, and it appears instantly on the web page. Feels amazing to use. It's still one of the best demos to show people what Lightning can do, what Bitcoin over Lightning Network can do. And I'm incensed that it's not even been trialed by a big press publication. So I tweeted out, like, please, can this be when it happens? Like, the Binance will help them build this thing into Forbes. It's hopium. I know they don't have Lightning in Binance, obviously. And Francis Pouliot actually wrote a reply to my tweet saying, no, they're just going to use it to pump the shit coins. That's probably more likely. Yes, I agree. But I'm still going to hang on to that little hope that we'll have Bitcoin Lightning transactions, even if it's just for a trial period, just as, I don't know, around maybe the white paper day or something, just like a trial period, just as to demo the technology. Like, this is how you could pay for an article in the future. But I would love to see Forbes or a big news publication do that. So yeah, they'll use this new power they have within Forbes to like pump the shit coins. But I hopefully CZ deep down is still a Bitcoiner, and he wants people to experience Bitcoin. And if he does, then he would implement Lightning Network payments into pay-as-you-go articles on Forbes. That'd be great.
0.0. And it's interesting how far this discussion goes back, man, because Vitalik Buterin, in his Bitcoin Magazine articles, used to put up about half the article, then put up like a Bitcoin wallet and a certain goal, like raise this amount of money, and I'll put up the second half. It was probably all manually done, but things haven't really progressed that much since then. The idea, no one wants to put any barrier in the article, even though a lot of these websites have started popping up scarier and scarier messages that I'm using an ad blocker, which again, I just bring up my blocker that blocks everything. And it's like, oh, you don't want that? Well, you don't even get to run any scripts now. Like, it's over for you. But don't you see this just escalating? And still, no one wants to do what you're saying. No one wants to pay 10 cents an article or a penny an article or even anything because they've been trained on free. They just expect it free.
Well,
they
no,
want it free. They
yeah,
just don't care.
Yeah, that's true. But people do pay for subscriptions, and then there is like a group of users like me. I don't want to pay for a subscription. I don't want to give away my personal data on some website, like put my credit card details in. I just want to pay to read an article on the Financial Times. I'll overpay. Like there's some articles which I've got to, and I would pay like 50p to read the article because it's a good article.
Totally.
I would pay way more than that article is worth, and probably more money than they would make from a subscription model anyway.
Or your data.
Yeah, exactly. And
sadly, they just keep going back. They love that subscription model. I would love to just pay Sirius for Howard Stern. I'd love to pay the cable company maybe just for ESPN, something like that. But it's not available because they want to sell you the whole package as a subscription, more entertainment, more magazine than you could ever read.
Yeah, this is why the music industry stayed away from singles and was really pushing albums the whole time back then, because they could sell it for $25, even though everyone just went for that one song.
Very much the same. Josh Segala, your thoughts on Forbes allowing Binance to heavily invest in their company?
Yeah, look, Forbes, all of these legacy media, they're really struggling. But the interesting thing was, as they virtue signal with their big stick about when Facebook used when Cambridge Analytica used Facebook data to like do whatever they were saying that they did, in the back end, they are doing the exact same thing. All of these big media outlets, from CNN to Fox to Forbes, Reuters, they all have gone from a, hey, we sell magazines, we sell newspapers, to we buy data, we sell data, and that's it. That's how they're making money right now. And it's so disingenuous for them to go after Cambridge Analytica. I think it's good, they should, but without looking at themselves, without pointing at themselves, without going, hey, we all do this. And by the way, they all use like a single aggregator amongst left, right, every newspaper, they use the same aggregators. So it's a dying model. And yeah, the only way we kill the data is the new oil model is with micropayments, with nano payments, to make it even smaller than you, Ben. Nano, man. Yeah, it's really that's the model. That's the model. And Satoshi Pay is a really old startup here out of Berlin. Was doing the same thing. Really beautiful, where you pay per paragraph, and the paragraph turns from gray to and you just fund a little Lightning wallet and blah, 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 blah. And so if you get sick of the article halfway through, you pay even less because you didn't read the whole thing. So I think there's really interesting moves now by CZ. And what's fascinating is that crypto culture is starting to buy into these legacy media outlets. And it's a weird move. But what it shows me, because CZ is a very data-driven character, what it really shows me is that there is still a massive readership of these articles, because you don't only read it on Forbes. Forbes releases it and then it trickles out to all these other places, and it's sort of knock-on domino effect. So for CZ, it makes a lot of sense. And what's phenomenal is that these companies like Binance can just put 200 million. It really wouldn't even touch the sides. It'd be like, why buy ads when I can buy the company? So yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting move. Let's see.
It's also a great mailing list at Forbes. If you're thinking of future customers for the Binance exchange, people into money, people into magazines, maybe some older type money hasn't gotten into the Bitcoin yet.
Yeah.
Now they've got a Forbes partnered exchange or whatever they're going to call it,
Yeah.
Forbes license, Forbes approved, right? You can get in there. So
Well,
it's interesting stuff.
You always hear the one side of the deal, which is the money side of the deal, but money buys something. And I want to know what they bought. I keep using this, my builder's toothbrush here, but but I want to know what the other side of the deal was. They paid 200 mil for what? What did they pay for? Did they pay for constant for editorial rights? I don't know, because there's a lot of, journalism. I worked for a long time in mainstream television, and there is a lot of, when you talk to these old school journalists, I'm talking 50, 60 years old, they would talk about journalistic integrity. Yeah, that's a thing. It used to be a thing. And it was all about like not having a viewpoint, just reporting on a story and trying as much, and the science of taking your own bias out of a story is a really hard thing, because humans have an opinion and they really want to, and maybe it was never there. Maybe it was always a facade. Maybe everyone always had it, but nowadays it's really in your face, either left or right or whatever. But seeing how this has evolved, I want to know the contract that they've bought. Can Binance just buy an art? Can they just write whatever they want from now on? I don't know.
They don't even have to put sponsored content on top. It's a great deal. Let's move on to the exit question. Cryptocurrency just bought. Oh, we're going to go to Dan. All right, we'll go to Dan first. Then we'll exit. Go ahead.
I'll be quick. I'm with Josh about the viewpoints that I think that really ruined the news. And I don't know exactly what point it was, but I could slowly see, news turning from like non-biased factual things where they say this happened to just turning into opinions. And I'm not just talking about opinion articles, but literally going, this happened because of so-and-so, blah, 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 rather than just saying what the thing is, right? And that just really ruined the news. And I don't know, I think that I really don't like the idea that a company, it's almost like news should be something that shouldn't have, it shouldn't have investment from someone that can change the news's opinion, because then it's not news, it's opinion, right? It's like a talk show. It becomes like news turns into some sort of talk show. But having said that, I'm willing to drop all of my morals because Binance have bought into Forbes and they're going to be positive about Bitcoin. So now I don't really care. But ultimately, it would be good if they could, rather than just become a shilling factory and have that side of it, to be, impartial, and maybe even have because of the fact that Bitcoin's apolitical, make Forbes a bit more apolitical. Maybe because Binance bought into them. Was it the name not Shaka Khan? Oh God, Razzle Khan. Razzle Khan's writes for Forbes right now, right? So maybe she'll be writing for Forbes from jail if she goes to jail. I don't know. I'm just saying it might happen. No, I think it's a bad thing that companies with an agenda can buy into newspapers, but I'm quite happy because it's Binance and they'll shield Bitcoin in some way.